What's up, YouTube? So, in this video, I'm going to be talking about my top 10 offensive tackles for the 2021 NFL Draft Class. So, with that, let's just get right into it. My number 10 guy is Sam Cosmi, tackle out of Texas. He is 6'7" and 309 pounds. So, I'm not massive on this guy, but I do think he is solid at the very least. He definitely has the strength to get the job done for sure, but he is pretty inconsistent with his technique. When he does get his hands inside, he does look pretty good, but he definitely needs to get more consistent with that, because a lot of times he does get them outside and it gets a little wonky. Because he does have long arms, he just needs to stop messing with his hands. And because he's not good with his hands, he has a tendency to lunge. And in this league, if you lunge and someone pulls your cloth, you're going to end up on your face. So I would like to see him hit first. His feet aren't awful for being 6'7", but they definitely do need work as well. But one thing I will say is he does recover well. Of course, in order for you to recover, you have to lose in the first place. So that is an issue. So I do think that I think he can be a starting tackle immediately just because tackle play is so bad in the league. But I do think there will be some growing pains with Sam Cosmi for sure when you first get him. But I do think he does have enough raw skill to work with, because he does have some athleticism for his size. He does have the strength. He does have the length. But he has he really needs to work on his technique, his hands and his feet. So, yeah. Okay, so my number 9 guy is probably going to be kind of controversial, but it is what it is. Alex Leatherwood. I know a lot of people are higher on him than I am, but he's just really inconsistent to me. So he is 6'7" and 312 pounds, but he plays a lot smaller than he actually is. He is athletic for his size. I'd say that. I would like to see him punch a lot more. He does have length. He does have some power, but he just needs to punch more. He has a tendency to just kind of throw one hand out there, and that drives me insane because people are just going to smack that away, and that's exactly what happens to him. It ends up getting him beat sometimes. He plays pretty high, which is very exploitable. The way you win leverage is by getting lower than your opponent. He needs to keep his feet moving, particularly through contact. His feet actually do look pretty good, but sometimes he just stops for some reason. But he does move well sometimes. He is such a sometimes player. Like, he shows so many flashes of everything you like, but it's nothing consistent at all. His hands could be okay. Again, his hands are solid sometimes, but they're inconsistent. So, like, at the Senior Bowl, for example, like, Ellerson Smith made a name for himself in this class by beating Alex Leatherwood multiple times during the Senior Bowl. And this happens on film, too, where he loses to quicker, twitchy guys. So it would lead you to believe that he's just slow and maybe he shouldn't play tackle. But then there's games where he'll go up against another quick, twitchy guy, and you would think it would be a problem. But then he starts moving his feet well, and he deals with it. So he does actually have the feet to do it. He just doesn't do it all the time. And then it's like, okay, so maybe he's not that strong, because you see someone out-muscle him. But then he goes up against another powerful guy, and he beats that guy. Like, everything about him is inconsistent. He shows flashes of power, athleticism. He shows flashes of technique, but nothing is consistent with him. I don't know what it is. He seems it kind of makes him seem lazy to me. Like he doesn't want to put in the effort for these things. And that is why he is lower on this list, but I can't completely keep him off the list because he does have the talent. There's another guy on this list that we'll get to later with a similar kind of issue. But okay, so moving forward, we've got James Hudson, tackle out of Cincinnati. So he is 6'5" and 310 pounds. And I do like him. He keeps his feet moving, which is nice, including through contact, which is something I like to see. And he can definitely move a little bit. He does look a little bit confused out there sometimes. His technique can be a little bit inconsistent. He needs to get better with getting his hands inside and using his hands in general. He does show flashes of it, but he needs to get more consistent with it for sure. And I do think that he is a solid like day 2 tackle. By the way, I think all these tackles are day 2 or higher. Because after day 2, tackle gets really whack. Even bad tackles go day 1 or 2. Typically. So if you're on day 3, you're probably pretty bad if you're a tackle. He just looks, like I said, he does look a little bit confused sometimes, like he doesn't know who to block. So I do definitely think he needs a little bit of coaching, but he does, like similar to Sam Cosmi. I think this guy does have the tools. He definitely has all the power you would need. He might be better off switching to guard, possibly, but I don't think he necessarily has to. I definitely think he can play tackle for sure as well. But yeah, I just think he's really raw. That's really all there is to it. He definitely has the athleticism to play tackle. He has the feet to play tackle. He has enough power to play tackle or guard. I'd probably keep him at tackle though, to be honest, and just work on his technique and his mental processing and stuff like that, because tackles are really hard to find. So this is where you kind of get into the ceiling versus floor conversation, because a lot of these guys that I've been talking about have higher ceilings than the guy I'm about to talk about. But I think this guy is more ready right now. And that would be Liam Eichenberg. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but I think he does have a better floor. I think he's more NFL ready right now, but I don't think he has a ceiling that the others do. He's got a good anchor. He's 6'6" and 307 pounds out of Notre Dame, of course. He's got like I said, got a pretty good anchor. He gives up ground slowly. He's got a pretty decent little hand fight to him. Keeps his feet moving through contact. His feet are solid. Punch could be a little bit better for sure. He's not necessarily super powerful either. Base does get a little bit wide sometimes, so that can be sometimes an issue. And he does have a tendency to miss in open space and like zone run situations. The thing about him is he's not particularly athletic or particularly strong. So I don't think he has the ceiling that a lot of these other guys on the list do. But I think you can plug him in at tackle right now, and he'll at least get the job done for you. He's not going to whoop anybody's ass at the next level, that's for sure. But I think he can be just a solid starting tackle. And there's definitely value in that. So, yeah. But that is also why he can't be higher than he is. Okay, so this is where another controversial take is going to be. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one, but Christian Darrisaw. Now, this is where the tackle ranking gets a little bit weird, because he is more talented than everybody on this list, like prior to Darrisaw. That's why he can't go any lower. Like he's way more talented than Hudson, Liam, Alex, Cosmi, all of them. And he's probably more talented than the next person on my list. But he also has some problems. So let's get into it, right? So he's got some really good arm length. He's out of Virginia Tech. He's 6'5" and 315 pounds. And he's got good arm length. Feet are okay, but they are a little bit heavy. He's got some pretty good knee bend. His hands are consistent. He gets his hands inside on a consistent basis. He's solid, gets the job done. He does miss in open space sometimes, so zone run might be a bit of an issue. He can move a little bit for his size. Misses with his hands a little bit sometimes. And I wouldn't necessarily call him like super powerful. But the big issue with me is that he does look a little bit lazy. Sorry about that. But like I said, he does have a lot of skill. He just seems a little bit lazy to me. Like, where a lot of these offensive linemen are looking to defeat their opponent, he just wants to do the bare minimum to succeed. A lot of times, he'll block somebody, and the second he doesn't have to, he's definitely going to let go. He's not going to finish the play consistently, which is why he is below the other people on this list because of the laziness. Same thing that held Alex Leatherwood back. So. Okay, next on the list, Dylan Radunes. He is another guy that really blew up at the Senior Bowl. He is out of North Dakota State. He's 6'5" and 304 pounds. I really do like this guy a lot, especially for being from a smaller school. I think he's a really good late first-round pick, early second, somewhere around there. He gets his hands inside consistently. He's got really good knee bend, keeps his feet moving. I wouldn't say his feet are amazing, but they're solid. He doesn't miss with his hands. He's got some pretty good length to him, but one thing that you do have to say is that, lack of competition is a problem. But he did really well at the Senior Bowl, so that it kind of bounces out at least a little bit, because he did do well at the Senior Bowl, so against better competition. But the big thing that really separated him and Darrisaw is Darrisaw's laziness. That's really just it is what it is. But yeah, I do like him a lot. So moving forward, we've got Elijah Vera Tucker, offensive lineman out of USC. Now this guy is a guy that may be on my guard list as well. Because some of these guys will be on my interior offensive line list and my tackle list, if I think they can do both well. So he is 6'4" and 315 pounds. And he actually did play guard and tackle at times for USC. His feet look really good sometimes, but they can be a little bit inconsistent. He's really solid at guard or tackle. His arms are a little bit short, but he's good with his hands, so he kind of gets over that hump. He does need to hit first because of his short arms, but he usually does it. Like I said, his feet show flashes of being really good, but it's not consistent. He can move really, really well. He's really good in combo blocks. He's got some okay thump to him too. He when he does punch, he will push you back a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily say he's like super powerful, but he definitely does have enough power to get the job done for him. And overall, I just think he's a solid tackle. I don't think he's gonna knock your socks off. None of the guys so far will. Darrisaw may be the closest, but the laziness is what keeps him down for me. But if you want to say that Darrisaw is above Vera Tucker and Radunes, I wouldn't be mad at you. Because maybe you can coach the laziness out, but it typically doesn't work that way in my experience. You really can't teach people to not be lazy. But, yeah. Anyway, moving on to the number 3 tackle, Tevin Jenkins. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Because now, even if the laziness factor of Darrisaw wasn't in play, I think the next 3 guys are just straight up better than him as well. So he is 6'6" and 320 pounds out of Oklahoma State. when he gets you down for any reason, he will keep you down. He will keep pushing you over and over again, and he will finish the play. He does look a little bit lost sometimes, so that is one issue I did notice from him. But he definitely does have plenty of power. He does need to finish. Little bit more consistently in the pass game. In the running game, he finishes very consistently, but in the pass setting, sometimes not as much. But he's got really good knee bend. He handles power extremely well. He has a good anchor. He gives up ground slowly. His hands are really good. They get inside on a consistent basis. He climbs really well, so he'll put his hand on, let's say, the defensive tackle and help out his guard before he climbs up to block a linebacker. So he's very good at doing that. His feet are really solid. If he misses with his hands initially, he's really good with a hand fight. He can move pretty well, but he does miss people in space sometimes, so zone running may be a bit of a problem. But overall, I like him a lot. Like I said, he does look a little bit lost sometimes, and he does need to finish a little bit more consistently in the pass game. But overall, I think he is a very, very solid player and a very underrated one at that. So, yeah. Okay, so this is another controversial one, but if you're familiar with my channel, then you shouldn't be surprised. Penei Sewell is my number 2 tackle. I know people would say it's blasphemy for him to not be number 1, but I don't think he is. But he is strong as hell, and he moves so well. He is a physical specimen. That part is so true. If you're just looking for raw skills, and he has possibly the highest ceiling out of anybody in this entire draft class, regardless of position. But his technique right now keeps him lower than my number 1 guy. He misses with his hands a little bit more consistently. He doesn't really seem to really know what to do with his hands on a consistent basis. His feet look a little bit choppy sometimes, a little bit heavy. He looks a little bit lost sometimes as well. So those are the things that really limit him. But his ceiling is so high. If he can fix those issues, he can be such an amazing tackle. And if you plug him in at guard, where being lost isn't going to be a problem, where his feet aren't going to be as much of a problem, and you're just going to let him maul people, he is an amazing player. But at tackle, he's number 2. And that's because my number 1 is Rashawn Slater. Because he might not be as powerful as Penei Sewell, but he is still powerful as hell. He may not be as athletic as Sewell, but he's still athletic as hell and can move really well. And a lot of people won't like Slater as much because his arms are a little bit shorter, but I love Rashawn Slater. He gets his hands inside consistently, and yeah, he has short arms, but it doesn't matter because of the way he fights with his hands. He's going to slap your hands away until he gets his hands in there on a consistent basis. So the short arms are not an issue for this person in particular. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that short arms don't matter, because for the most part, it is a detriment for an offensive lineman, especially a tackle. But with Rashawn Slater, he mitigates that point with how good his hands are. His feet are damn near flawless. His hands are damn near flawless. All of the technique is off the charts, and that is what keeps him above Sewell for me. And he still has that power you're looking for, still has the athleticism you're looking for. Now, I would say that Sewell has a potential higher ceiling than Slater. So if you want to put him above Slater for that, I guess I can't be mad at you, but I disagree. Because I still think Slater's ceiling is massive too. I think both of these two could be Hall of Fame level tackles. I really believe that. So, yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, I appreciate you hitting that like button. If you have any questions or comments in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.